From Space Launch Complex 41 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, Florida, United Launch Alliance presents live Atlas V launch coverage. On board the NROL38 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Range go for launch. Roger, go for launch.
T-minus
3, 2, 1.
Atlas engine ignition.
Liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. Launch countdown operations are continuing and the team is not working any issues. Our launch time today is 8:28 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Good morning and welcome to Mission Control in the Atlas Spaceflight Operations Center. I'm Don Spencer and I'll be your commentator for today's mission. Later in the broadcast, you'll hear the voice of Rob Gannon providing launch vehicle ascent data throughout the flight. And at the request of our customer, we will conclude our broadcast following confirmation of payload fairing jettison, which occurs about 4.5 minutes into the mission. And right now, the launch count is currently in a planned 25-minute hold at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. This hold allows the launch conductor, Ed Kidda, and his team some time to address any last-minute tasks or any makeup work as required. However, at this point, we remain on schedule for liftoff as planned at 8:28 a.m. Eastern Time at the top of the window. The NROL38 mission is ULA's 11th flight for the NRO and the second of 4 planned NRO missions this year. The NRO is a joint organization engaged in the research and development, acquisition, launch, and operation of overhead reconnaissance systems necessary to meet the needs of the intelligence community and the Department of Defense. The mission of the NRO is innovative overhead intelligence systems for national security. NRO's vision is vigilance from above. Last year, the NRO commemorated 50 years of service to the nation. In addition to its significant historical accomplishments, the NRO is recognized for its transformational intelligence collection systems that are used to develop highly accurate military targeting data, support international peacekeeping and humanitarian relief operations, and assess the impact of natural disasters. NRO systems continue to ensure vigilance from above. And just a few minutes ago, the launch team received its final weather briefing and was told the weather is within the launch commit criteria for today's launch. The current weather conditions are as follows. Probability of violating the launch constraints, 40%. Ground winds are in the 23 to 25 knot range out of the east-southeast. Upper level winds are within the constraint. And the temperature here at Cape Canaveral, 79 degrees Fahrenheit. So the team has been concerned with the 40% probability of violating the launch constraints or due to the thick cloud rule. However, the clouds have cleared out for the most part in the Cape Canaveral area and don't appear to be a significant concern, at least for the top of the window. Ground winds we continue to monitor closely. So the team is go for liftoff with a T0 planned for 8:28 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is the 31st Atlas V Evolved Expendable Launch Vehicle mission since the inaugural flight in 2002. Today's mission is flying in the 401 configuration, which includes the Common Core booster, powered by the RD Amros RD-180 main engine, and a single-engine Centaur upper stage, powered by the Pratt & Whitney Rocketdyne RL-10A engine. The NROL38 payload is encapsulated in a 4-meter diameter payload fairing. On June 8th, the encapsulated payload fairing was transported to Space Launch Complex 41 and mated to the Atlas V launch vehicle. In preparation for this morning's launch, the fully integrated Atlas V on its mobile launch platform was rolled to the pad Monday morning at about 10 a.m. Eastern Time. A trackmobile is used to transport the Atlas V and its mobile launch platform to the launch pad. The Atlas V rocket stands 188 feet tall, or about 19 stories, and weighs 750,000 pounds fully fueled, and delivers more than 860,000 pounds of thrust off the launch pad. For those watching the broadcast, you're looking at video taken Monday at Space Launch Complex 41. It takes 30 minutes to complete the quarter-mile trip from the vertical integration facility to the launch pad. Here you can see the vehicle on Monday morning after it was rolled out to Complex 41, and an aerial view of Complex 41. This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. The Air Force's EELV program includes ULA's Atlas V and Delta IV launch vehicle families, and today's launch is the 50th EELV mission. 2012 marks not only the 10th anniversary of the inaugural Atlas V and Delta IV flights, but also the most aggressive EELV launch campaign to date, with 11 planned missions. Developed by the United States Air Force to provide assured access to space for Department of Defense and other government payloads, the Evolved Expendable Launch Vehicle, or EELV program, supports the full range of government mission requirements while delivering on schedule and providing significant cost savings over heritage launch systems. Contracted in October 1998, both the Atlas V and Delta IV were conceived, designed, and developed in just 4 years, with the first EELV flight in August 2002. With 80% of the development funding coming from Lockheed Martin and Boeing, the Atlas V and Delta IV are the most commercially developed vehicles flying today. In the first 5 months of 2012, EELVs delivered WGS-4 and AEHF-2 for the Air Force, MUOS-1 for the Navy, and NROL38 for the National Reconnaissance Office. Together, Atlas V and Delta IV EELVs have sent missions to the Moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto, in addition to consistently delivering more than 30 vital national security missions. EELV's proven reliability has become a key element of affordable access to space. This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. And the launch count is continuing in its planned hold, which is, again, designed to allow launch conductor Ed Kidda and his team some time to address any final tasks. However, again, at this point, we're not working any issues, and the team is continuing with countdown for this morning's launch. Liftoff remains on schedule for 8:28 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The animation we'll see after liftoff is referred to as STK, or Satellite Toolkit. STK uses real-time telemetry data from the launch vehicle after liftoff to track the flight of the vehicle beyond the range of ground-based cameras. STK is a three-dimensional representation of the vehicle's trip into space. The following video highlights the important events of today's mission and incorporates the STK animation that I just described.
The following profile details the important events of this launch using approximate times. The Atlas V rocket will launch and deploy the NROL38 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the RD-180 engine roars to life and liftoff.
The Atlas RD-180 main engine ignites to lift the vehicle away from the pad. Shortly after liftoff, Atlas begins its initial pitch, yaw, and roll maneuvers to attain the proper ascent profile. At 90 seconds, the vehicle experiences maximum dynamic pressure. The Atlas V is now traveling at Mach 1, the speed of sound. Approaching booster engine cutoff, the Atlas V is burning propellant at the rate of more than 1,500 pounds per second. traveling at a speed of more than 11,000 miles an hour and located more than 69 statute miles in altitude and 172 statute miles downrange. Booster engine cutoff occurs just over 4 minutes into the flight. 6 seconds after booster engine cutoff, the booster stage is jettisoned. Centaur main engine start takes place 10 seconds after booster stage jettison. 8 seconds after Centaur main engine start, the payload fairing is jettisoned.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. Launch conductor Ed Kidda will be polling the team in just a few moments for the final go to resume the countdown. 28 launch managers and engineers are polled for their readiness status to proceed with the launch. This will be the final status check before launch for all the vehicle's systems, including the vehicle's electrical systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, flight control, propulsion, and propellant systems. The team will verify that the ground systems, including the computer-controlled launch system, telemetry, and propellant transfer systems, are ready for launch. And the team will verify that the U.S. Air Force Eastern Range operations and the space vehicle are ready to support the flight. Some of the final processing steps prior to launch include completing propellant topping of the Atlas and Centaur stages and securing the vent valves. Let's listen in as Ed Kidda performs the final polling of the launch team for a go to pick up the count.
This is the LC performing status check to proceed with terminal count. Atlas systems, propulsion, go. Hydraulics, go. Pneumatics, go. LO2,
go.
Water,
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion,
Go.
pneumatics,
Go.
LO2,
Go.
LH2, go. Has gas,
Go.
electrical systems, airborne,
Go.
ground,
Go.
facility,
Go.
RFFTS,
Go.
flight control,
Go.
instrumentation,
Go.
comm,
Go.
timer,
Go.
GC cube,
Go.
umbilicals,
Go.
ECS,
Go.
redline monitor,
Go.
quality,
Go.
OSM,
Go.
ULA safety officer,
Go.
range, weather, and clear to proceed.
Go.
Launch director,
Launch vehicles ready to launch.
mission director,
You have permission to launch.
proceeding with the count.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. Polling is now complete, and the team has given the go for launch for the NROL38 mission at 8:28 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We'll be picking up the countdown at T-minus 4 minutes and 1 minute and 43 seconds. From T-minus 4 minutes until liftoff, you'll be listening to the launch conductor and his team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. At T-minus 3 minutes, the team will secure Atlas LO2 topping. At T-minus 2 minutes, the Atlas and Centaur stages will be transferred from ground facility power to their own internal battery power. At T-minus 1 minute 58 seconds, the team will secure Atlas battery heater power. At T-minus 1 minute 55 seconds, the launch sequencer is commanded to start. Centaur LH2 and LO2 topping is secured at T-minus 1 minute 50 seconds. At T-minus 1 minute 40 seconds, the team will command the flight control system to launch enable. Centaur battery heater power is secured at T-minus 1 minute 38 seconds. At T-minus 1 minute 37 seconds, the flight termination system is armed. At T-minus 40 seconds, Centaur tanks will be stable at flight pressures. A final propellant status check is conducted at T-minus 25 seconds. The booster engine starts at T-minus 3 seconds. Vehicle motion will occur at T plus 1 second. "20 seconds away from picking up the count. This is Atlas Mission Control. We are at T-minus 3 minutes, 53 seconds, and counting. The team is given the go to proceed. The countdown clock has resumed.
Minutes.
Securing LO2 topping.
Atlas tanks to flight pressure.
250.
FTS internal.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 2 minutes, 33 seconds, and counting. The launch vehicle is now switching to its internal power. Flight termination system is switching to internal. The launch vehicle, spacecraft, ground systems, range, and weather are all go for launch as we progress towards T0 at 8:28 a.m. Eastern Time. Once the vehicle lifts off, it will take approximately 90 seconds to reach Mach 1, or the speed of sound.
$159.
Vehicle internal.
$155.
Launch sequencer start.
Securing Centaur LH2.
Securing Centaur LO2.
140.
Launch enable.
FTS armed.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 1 minute, 25 seconds, and counting. The vehicle is on internal power. It's securing its fuel tanks, and we are at 1 minute, 7 seconds, and counting.
1 minute.
Rock, report range status.
It's the rock, range is green.
"50 seconds. National Reconnaissance Office payload L38 is ready to embark on a national security mission for the United States.
40.
Stable at step 3.
$25.
Status check.
Go Atlas.
Go Centaur.
20. 15.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And the RD-180 engine roars to life. And liftoff for the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, carrying the NROL38 payload for the National Reconnaissance Office. NRO systems continue to ensure vigilance from above. And you're hearing the voice of Rob Gannon providing launch vehicle ascent data. Let's listen in.
RD-180 continues to perform nominally. Continue to operate nice and steady at 100% thrust on the RD-180. Mark event we're looking for is on closed loop on Atlas PU, coming up in 5 seconds. And we've gone closed loop on Atlas PU. Engine's responding as expected to the change. Everything's looking good. Engine operating parameters look good. We are now approaching Mach 1. And the vehicle is now supersonic. Coming up on max Q. And passing through max Q now, we have throttled the RD-180 down to 95% thrust right on time. Vehicle performance parameters look good. Flight control is nice and in family. PU is controlling nominally, and engine continues to operate right at 95% thrust as expected. A quick look at the range track. We are proceeding right down our nominal trajectory. Everything looking good there. Engine operation continues to be normal. Inlet conditions look good. And the vehicle now weighs 50% of what it did at liftoff. Everything operating normally. We are 22 miles in altitude, 25 miles downrange, traveling at 3,600 miles per hour. Vehicle parameters continue to look good. And we did enter closed loop steering about 20 seconds ago as expected. And we fired the pyro valve, activating the reaction control system on Centaur. The loop is charging right as expected. And the RD-180 continues to operate nominally. Next event we're looking for is throttle to 92% thrust. Going up in 10 seconds. Everything's looking good on the engine. Vehicle's flying right down the center of the range track. We have throttle to 92% thrust. Everything looking good. Normal PU activity. Yeah. 46 miles in altitude, 106 miles downrange, traveling at 7,800 miles per hour. And the vehicle now weighs 25% of what it did at liftoff. We have started boost phase chill down. Everything looking good there. And we're now on a constant 5G throttle segment. Getting ready for BECO. Coming up in 10 seconds for booster engine cutoff. BECO, we have booster engine cutoff. Center PU valve to start position. We have stage separation. Pre-start on fuel and locks. Center engine ignition and full thrust. Good startup signature. Center is looking good. Flight control is nice and smooth, coming up on payload fairing jettison. And we have payload fairing jettison.
This is Atlas Mission Control at L plus 4 minutes, 47 seconds into the flight. And we've just seen the successful liftoff of the NROL38 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office. Liftoff occurred at the top of the window, as expected, at 8:28 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The vehicle is performing as expected. We saw the early part of the mission successfully complete its mark events. It's at an altitude of 96 nautical miles and 397 miles downrange from Cape Canaveral at this time, traveling at a velocity of 11,300 miles an hour. I'd like to thank Rob Gannon for his support of today's launch broadcast, providing launch vehicle ascent data during the flight. And at the request of our customer, we'll now conclude our live televised launch broadcast coverage. For more information about the Atlas V, please visit our website at www.ulalaunch.com. And we'll leave you now with one final look at the liftoff of NROL38 aboard Atlas V. I'm Don Spencer on behalf of the entire Atlas launch team. Thank you for joining us and have a great day. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And the RD-180 engine roars to life. And liftoff for the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, carrying the NROL38 payload for the National Reconnaissance Office. NRO systems continue to ensure vigilance from above.